Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So, as you guys already know, Crossover Breakers is debuting very soon. A lot of people are doing testing, a lot of people have been doing like a lot of content like showcasing Duel and Maliss. Not so much Ryugi. We will talk about that in the future, but today I kind of wanted to show you, I want to call it an exhibition match. This is me versus a good friend and fellow duelist and very good known YouTuber, Nesh TCG. If you don't know who that is, like he's pretty much, in my opinion, the best pro player slash Yu-Gi-Oh content creator that doesn't really go to competitive events. Like he's been on every duelist circle, every testing ground. So this would be serving as a really good match because in this duel you will see some things that are important to note or to learn involving the Maliss deck. And I just want to give a disclaimer. Despite the limited amount of time Nesh has had with playing like the Crossover Breaker decks, he has access to all the spreadsheets, all the duel circles, so he's very knowledgeable at like the decks as a whole, despite like probably the little practice that he has with it. So as you can see here, he has Duelist Form, Terraforming, Nibiru, Shifter, and Imperm. You probably cannot tell what this deck is, but if you see the bottom half, you see White Rabbit, you see Cheshire Cat. So it's a really good assumption that this is the Maliss mirror match. So he started with Shifter. I set the impermanence. I do have Called by the Grave for the Dimension Shifter. However, I kind of wanted to try out like my hand with these cards and see how well I can fare against like whatever he had with my opposition. So I have a Cheshire Cat. However, any hand trap onto Cheshire Cat is pretty much going to stop my turn. So I opt to go for White Rabbit instead. I go White Rabbit. He lets it go through. So I set a TB11. So I set a card before summoning White Rabbit. So he pretty much like is thinking that we probably have a Maliss trap. That's why he held the Imperm. Now we do TB11. TB11 is going to banish the White Rabbit. He's going to summon us the Cheshire Cat. The White Rabbit is going to summon herself. We pay 300. We're going to IP, and then we activate Cheshire Cat. The White Rabbit already went to the rotation. So I wasn't thinking about Nibiru at this current point in time. If you want to play around Nibiru, the right play is to link these two away into White Binder and use White Binder's effect to set TP07. By doing that, you are guaranteed one interruption, and it doesn't matter if they Nibiru you, because since we're on the Dimension Shifter, like the White Binder is just going to reborn herself and it will net off one draw. Sadly, we did not do that, so we are going to get punished by Nibiru. Well, we're going to do Cheshire Cat's effect first. We're going to set one, and we're going to try to end turn. Then Nibiru, and this is the punish. We're just going to set one mining as a bluff, and we're passing. They draw into Ash Blossom. So the only engine card that they have is Terraforming, but you will notice that this Terraforming is going to be enough. They're going to do a Maliss in Underground. Underground is going to summon the Dormouse. Dormouse is going to summon herself. Dormouse is going to do her effect. We do hold the Imperm. The main reason we hold the Imperm is because they have not normal summoned yet. And yes, they did go through Underground, which means Red Ramson is no longer an extender. through the imperm, but however, if they end up having a way to banish the Ramson, they can just resummon Ramson like banish another Maliss name, and they can just keep going. So I need to hold this imperm for like the most critical choke point. So they summon the rabbit, they do rabbit effect, rabbit resolves, and you're probably seeing a lot of text here in the chat. Nesh was live when dueling, and he was talking with like the audience. So he was wondering if Cryptor plus GWC is OTK through like my board. He does not know my set cards. However, I do confirm to him that Cryptor plus 06 is indeed OTK. And you're going to see the line in case you haven't seen it yet. So he sets 06. He grabs all 3 and he summons Cryptor. The Cryptor is at 3100 attack because he did resolve Ultor Mouse. He is going to Druid Worm, banishing his own shifter. And now we enter battle phase. So he activates Cryptor's effect. Cryptor's effect here was not necessary because the token is 2300 attack, so he could just run over it with Druid's Worm, attack for 331, and then use GWC, and that will reborn her into 5k, and you can reborn one other Maliss, and that's already OTK. But he still opts to do Cryptor's effect. We chain Infinite Impermanence. Before proceeding here, let's see if you noticed what I didn't notice at the time. I'll give you 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. This imperm is useless. This imperm really doesn't do anything. Hearts of Cryptor cannot be negated because the Druid's Worm is pointing to it. And this is a retroactive effect. It works similar to Altergeist Protocol. That is the closest comparison. So even if there are already cards that are negating it on the board, the game does recognize that it cannot be negated and it will resolve properly. That being said, the Imperm is useless. He banishes the token, he attacks with both, and then he does 06. He summons the White Rabbit. He uses the Cryptor's effect to reborn herself, and yeah, that's game. So that was game 1. Very swift OTK through Shifter. Not many decks can do that, but this deck can. So you really have to be very careful when playing against the Maliss deck, especially the Maliss Mirror Match, because it's very, very, very easy to get blown out of the game, like one way or another. So this is game 2. So Nesh's hand is White Rabbit plus 4 hand traps. He shotguns the Shifter again. He actually takes it back, and it's understandable why he holds the Shifter. He is playing Effect Veiler. I'm not a fan of Effect Veiler with Shifter in this deck. I've never been a fan of Shifter with cards that don't work under Shifter, and just hope whichever you draw first. That being said, we go here. So we're setting TB11. This time it's not a bluff. We do actually have a Malice Trap. We normal summon the Dormouse, and here I bring up to a dash where sometimes like shotgunning the hand trap on the Dormouse could be important, because if this is actually a bluff, then the Dormouse really doesn't work anymore. If you chain it to them activating and they do chain like the bluff, it just becomes a blowout. And some builds are playing Silent Backdoor. Not all of them, but Silent Backdoor is another card that you can use to dodge all these cards. That being said, we do Dormouse for White Rabbit summons, White Rabbit effect. Nesh is now thinking. He is contemplating whether Veiler or Imperm, or whether or not he changed the shifter or not. He does shifter, he changed Veiler, he negates the White Rabbit. We do have the TB11 to like basically contest the Veiler, make it so we banish the White Rabbit, and then we set another Maliss trap. However, I don't think this is all the interruptions that he have. Like game 1, we already saw that he had a lot of non-engine in his opening hand. So we have to make the cognitive decision whether or not to play around more cards, like for example Nibiru. So I let it go through. I summon IP. I summon the Dormouse. The reason I specifically summon IP is because it plays around Ghost Ogre, and yes, we are on the Dimension Shifter, so they cannot Ghost Ogre, but it's a really good hand note to just give yourself. Like it's a really like good what's the word, hand trap check that you can give yourself whenever you're doing like extended combos. I do bring it here. I do bring it up here in the chat. That being said, we go Red Ransom to add, they chain Imperm, and this is where we TB11 and chain to the Imperm. So now he's left with 2 cards in hand. So our next play is going to be crucial to like whatever he has. We're going to do Ramson. Ramson is going to banish the Dotscaper. Dotscaper is going to like banish here. So here in the discussion, Nish was talking to his chat whether or not it's valid to play more copies of any trap card. I told him that my favorite trap is the 07 because 07 is consistency and this interruption. It also like helps with Cheshire Cat, which we are playing multiple copies of, and other stuff like that. But yeah, the reason I don't main one of these traps is because, you know, this does have the freezing effect for the monsters you summon. So it is kind of restrictive on what you summon here. So this is a hard part because we have not seen the bureau yet, and we don't know whether or not it's valid to hold this Maliss in Underground. However, both these names have already been used, and the Cheshire Cat, if they actually Nibiru, just resummons herself back. So we actually don't care about this Underground. So we do Maliss Cat, we draw Cat and Regained, which is really strong. We activate Regained. They have not Nibiru'd us yet, so it's safe to say that they don't have it. We summon the Decoder, we summon Whitebinder, and the reason we summon Recorder is Decoder so we can put it back with Branded Regain. It's just a free draw. So Regained, we put back the Decoder, we draw one, we resummon the Cat. We don't care that this Ransom is banished, like there are ways to get her back, like GWC and the Hearts of Cryptor. So what we do here is we do Whitebinder. Whitebinder is going to set the 06, like I mentioned earlier. And now we're going to, we don't have Firewall Dragon in this build, so we do ask Mesh if we can proxy it. They are fine with it. So we do summon the Protecto Stalker. This is Firewall Dragon. The reason we're doing that is because now it's cold linked, and now Firewall Dragon actually becomes an interruption on their turn. And remember, they're on the shifter, so this is a strong interruption even through it. So we set the Imperm, and we pass turn. This Combat Rave is not useful anymore, I mean, because we are on the shifter, so we're just gonna hold it.
They impert the firewall, which is imperative, which kind of tells you that it's there's some next summon is going to be very imperative to their play. They summon the rabbit, we chain the imperm. They go to summon Dressworm, and Nesh admits defeat. Before we go to the next game, can you guess why Nesh is can you guess why Nesh ended the duel here? I'll give you a couple of seconds. So, if you saw my last Maliss deck profile, I already covered Branded Regained. So, the deal here is, if Nesh tries to resummon Rabbit, since he is turn player, Rabbit's going to be Chainlink 1. We're going to Branded Regained as Chainlink 2, returning the Rabbit, and then we get one draw. Branded Regained is a really good card against the Maliss Mirror match, which is one of the reasons I value the Lubellion version a little bit. This card is really strong. Recursion is very strong. Snowball advantage. It pairs super well with Allure of Darkness. In a heavy Bestial build, I think this card is very warranted. Now you know why I was playing 2 copies of this in my main deck in the last build that I showed in my last deck report. And if you have not seen that deck report, I do encourage you to watch the video. I will post it in the description. But yeah, we're going to game 3. So game 3, Nesh is probably opting to go first. He opened 0 engine, which is very unfortunate. Like, typically the Maliss deck will have around 14 starters, which is a 90% chance of you opening a starter, and he did not draw any. So we draw Dormouse. We set in the Imperm as a bluff. We summon the Dormouse. We activate the Dormouse. So Nesh is contemplating on Shifter plus Veiler here, but that play is incorrect unless you're chaining it to Dormouse effect. And the reason for that is because any Link 1 can just resummon Dormouse, and then you can just use Dormouse and you just wasted 2 hand traps. Nesh quickly notices that, so he just puts back the Shifter and he just Veilers, which I think is the correct play. Like, I don't have a real Maliss trap, so this Dormouse is actually frozen. We go to Link Decoder, we summon the EMP Meowmine. This is one tech card that we're playing. Really good in this deck, especially if you want to push through boards going second. This card is very helpful. I will showcase you another duel where that card actually shines, like in another time. Although you will see that this card actually do work in this duel as well. We summon Hyper Lizardos. Lizardos is going to banish the Dormouse. We're going to Dormouse, resummon, and they already wasted a Veiler of this Dormouse. They're contemplating whether or not to use another hand trap. They Nibiru here on the spot, since like we already used our normal summoned. So, yep, there's Nibiru, there's the token. I do have Code of Soul. I don't run Link Spider in this build, like I stated in game 1. So we're going to Underground. That's going to be another extender. Underground is going to banish the White Rabbit. White Rabbit is going to resummon herself. White Rabbit is going to try to activate. They chain the Mourner, which is fair enough. We activate Silent Mining. We dump the Code of Soul. Again, we don't run Link Spider, so we kind of have to force to find another extender. We do play Backup Secretary. We summon the Backup Secretary. Those two are going to become Splash Mage. Splash Mage is going to summon the Dormouse. We're going to use those two. We're going to summon Whitebinder. And since a link to monster was sent to the graveyard, we can use Meow Mine. And Meow Mine is going to bounce the Nibiru. That way he has no way to run over this Whitebinder. We're going to do the Whitebinder effect. They're going to chain Imperm. And now you know why he passed. Like last turn, he opened pretty much all hand traps. We already know the last two cards is Imperm and it's Shifter and Nibiru. So we're just going to attack. They draw Underground, which is the card they needed turn 1. They're going to Underground. Underground is going to banish the Dormouse. They're going to summon the Dormouse. Dormouse effect. We're going to chain Imperm. They're going to summon Lingurible. And yeah, this is pretty much the end of the duel. Like, they don't have any other plays. Lingurible is the best play that you can make because it makes it so you cannot reactivate your trap cards with Whitebinder. I mean, you can, but they'll just get negated. But any monster top deck here ends the game, and I did top deck White Rabbit. So yeah, that's the end of the duel. Like, there are so many ways to OTK with just these cards. And yeah, that's the duel. So I hope you found this video informative to your liking and understanding. I'm not like, it's not super interesting to keep showing Maliss like showcases and duels, especially when a lot of people are doing it at the moment. However, I did find this exhibition match to be a really good one. It was very informative. You managed to see like a couple of things that the Maliss deck can do, things to remember when you're playing the Maliss deck, how the Maliss mirror match kind of looks like. Although this is kind of rudimentary, like we're not sure if like these are going to be the non-engines that we're going to be playing. Like for example, Nesh plays a lot of hand traps. I don't play that many hand traps. The only hand traps I actually do play is like this, Pistios, and like Nibiru. I do play with Duel Logbrick too, like in this build. There's also other builds like the Sky Striker version that plays like 30 spell cards. Like, there are a lot of options out there when it comes to this deck. But yeah, I will post probably a few other Maliss duels in this week, just to show you some other cool interactions that the deck does that are not super common. Until then, keep practicing and keep dueling.